I am by no means an Evil Dead fan. Now, I liked the original. I thought it was really cool how the movie was actually made and the practical effects that were used, plus the story at that time, very original. After the first one, the sequels kind of leaned more into the goofy horror type of thing. Never really clicked for me. Still good movies, just wasn't for me. However, my first Evil Dead movie was back in 2013 with the reboot Evil Dead by Fede Alvarez. The gore, the acting, the setting, and the character development in that movie, there wasn't really much to not like about it. Having said that, is Evil Dead Rise good, bad, or groovy? Evil Dead Rise follows Beth, who shows up to her sister Ellie's apartment needing some help and advice with something that's happening in her life. Ellie lives with her son and 2 daughters. Naturally, this can't be a happy family reunion, and the Necronomicon is found, and the Deadites are unleashed into the apartment and possess Ellie. That's a typical storyline for an Evil Dead movie, but with one refreshing twist. Evil Dead Rise changes the usual cabin setting for a high-rise apartment in Los Angeles, and I'm happy to announce that it works. Director Lee Cronin uses the apartment setting so well. When I heard this news about the setting change, I immediately thought of how claustrophobic it can be, and the fact that they are essentially filming in about 5 rooms for the majority of the movie is wild, because a lot happens in that small space. And we haven't even begun to talk about the everyday items that are used in this movie that are just, found around the house, around the apartment, that are used for the kills or just interacted with in a very disturbing way. Lee gets creative with the shots too. There's a scene where our point of view is from a door peephole and we see Ellie do some wild things out in the hallway. Ellie, who is played by Alyssa Sutherland, plays one of the most disturbing looking Deadites in the entire franchise. The way she slowly changes throughout the movie is so cool, and how she's able to be creepy and just stare at the camera. And also the way that she moves while she's possessed, so creepy every time she does it. Now, the Evil Dead franchise is known as being one of 2 things, either very serious and gory.
You don't look so good, Mom.
Nothing a big old hug and kiss from you won't fix. Open up now, like a good girl.
Or goofy and gory. Evil Dead Rise is tonally similar to the 2013 reboot, which I am all about. I love what Fede Alvarez did in the reboot, and Lee Cronin keeps in line with that. The colors are drab and gritty in Evil Dead Rise, which kind of adds to the tone and the sense that something bad is about to happen. I've never been a fan of the goofiness in the Evil Dead movies. It just takes me out of the world, and I just have never liked it. Maybe one day though. There are very minimal moments of this type of humor in Rise, which, while brief, it seems out of place and unnecessary. I get they wanted to pay homage to the humor of the original movies for fans of the series, but just like the humor of the older movies, it did not work for me. Also, it seemed very inconsistent of what the Deadites can actually do with their abilities. They have superhuman strength, speed, all of that, but then something happens that they shouldn't have an issue with, actually stops them. For a movie that's very unbelievable, those moments made it even more unbelievable. Having those small critiques, just like the 2013 reboot, this movie doesn't have that much to complain about. Something I love in horror movies is practical effects, or in any movie for that matter. Practical effects are always better than CGI in my opinion, and Evil Dead Rise does a great job with the makeup, the gore, and even just the kills themselves. Did you know that Evil Dead Rise was supposed to be an HBO Max exclusive? After the movie was made, Warner Brothers changed their minds and released the movie in theaters. Because of how well done Evil Dead Rise is, plus the release in theaters, this is going to be a big deal for the franchise moving forward. I would not be surprised if we got a sequel in the next few years. Horror movies have been on the rise lately, no pun intended, especially with older franchises like Halloween, Scream, and even Hellraiser. Evil Dead Rise is a great example of how horror movies, and slashers in particular, can be good. In fact, I am working on a video right now about how the horror movie genre is the best it's ever been at the moment, and Evil Dead Rise is a prime example of this. Overall, I had a great time with Evil Dead Rise. It's a good slasher, which is very hard to do. The tension is great with the sound mixing, the lighting, and the acting. It mixed the setting up, and Lee Cronin used that to his full advantage. While some explanations and humor didn't work for me, they were so far in between that those shortcomings are easily overlooked. The writing and acting made you care about what happened to this family, arguably more than any other characters in the franchise. The Evil Dead franchise is making a comeback, and if Warner Brothers greenlets another, I am all for it. If you ended up liking Evil Dead Rise, here are a few suggestions of movies that you may also like. Cabin in the Woods, which takes heavy inspiration from the original Evil Dead as far as the setting goes, and then mixes up everything you thought you were getting in a movie. Drag Me to Hell is from the director of the original Evil Dead movies, and you can clearly see the inspiration it takes from those original movies. Hellraiser, released in 2022, this is another reboot of a classic slasher movie, but done really well in my opinion. The Conjuring, which is one of my favorite horror movies ever. It's also inspired by a real possession case, and it's directed by my favorite horror director, James Wan. Thank you all for watching my review of Evil Dead Rise. If you liked the video, please click that like button down below. Let me know down in the comment section if you liked Evil Dead Rise, or what your favorite Evil Dead movie is in the entire franchise. Also, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel for movie news, reviews, rankings, recaps, and more. Until next time, everyone, see you later.